So I wanted this to be a time-stamped record of my thesis on everything that is happening right now and the future of humanity. Big topics: war, AI, the future of work, and how we can make sense of it all and how we can come out on top with in the midst of all this chaos. I want to give a shout out to my business partner and dear friend Kyle, who encouraged me to do this. He's done the same thing on his channel and he's encouraged me to do this. He talked about various topics, which I'm gonna kind of cover as well, including the ET disclosure and aliens and so on. So we're gonna touch a little bit on these and how it all fits together in one whole thesis and worldview, and what can we do as individuals and leaders about it. So without further ado, let's dive right in on what's on top of mind. If you're like me, someone who is a little bit interested in geopolitics, I feel like I got thrown in the deep end of that because I have family in Lebanon, and I've been impacted by war from a young age, really. So I've been in the middle of this, and now this shadow or fear or demon has kind of like came back and haunts me. The anxiety about my family, my people, my country, being in risk or in danger. So has had a major impact on me. So I want to talk about the war as a topic that is on top of mind right now, and I'm going to talk about how it all fits into AI, how to win the race with AI, and how to prevent AI from taking our jobs, and then talk about what that means about how that connects with the topics of aliens, the topic of God, religion, and how we can make sense of it all. So the war has different dimensions or different theories. So people have different theories about what is the nature of this war, what is happening in the world right now, why is the world so agitated? It seems very chaotic, everything's falling apart. So the first theory, I think the most predominant theory, is the geopolitical aspect. It's imperial decline. So there's this theory about the American empire being in decline and doing everything to kind of continue its power and continue yielding power or hegemony or economical hegemony of the world. It's a fair theory, and it makes sense because every established system wants to fight to keep control, and power structures do not have a moral compass. They are just driven by power, and they always seek propagation. I'm not saying there's something wrong with this, but this is a theory that's been exchanged, and this it has been talked about. So this is one dimension of it. The other theory is the economical war, talking about the military industrial complex, the financial industrial complex, and technology industrial complex, and how they are competing for power or kind of consolidating power among each other, and how the wealth is being transferred from FIC and MIC into TIC, into the technology industrial complex, due to the rise of AI, and there's a lot of wealth that's being transferred into technology right now, and the mode of war and control is kind of changing and transforming to be more technology focused rather than flat out like fighting in war. And we are seeing this being updated and happening in real time right now, how the war is evolving to become more economy oriented and technology oriented as well. And that feeds into the theory of AI surveillance state, which we already see implemented partially in the UK. If you see in China, they already have a lot of AI surveillance, and that's also being implemented in Gaza and the West Bank, and in the US as well. So so that's the second theory. The third theory about the war is the religious aspect, the religious dimension. Okay, war between Muslims and Jews, where Christianity falls into place here. What's the role of Christianity. Uh, Religion is being weaponized and used. There's clear influence of religion. We've seen the pictures coming from the Oval Office. We've seen the speeches that come from political leaders talking about religion, talking about the Messiah, and how the eschatologies of every society fit into that. So the Muslims have an eschatology of their own. The Jews have an eschatology, and Christians as well. The truth is, they all talk about the same thing, but the implementation of them is competing, and that's creating the tension and the conflict and the fighting about the Aqsa Mosque. Who's going to destroy it? Who's going to rebuild it? Who's going to own that land? Who is that land promised to? That's all. That's all coming from the religious narratives, right? And so, which theory is right about the war? My thesis is that they are all true at the same time. It's not just one thing. This war is a multi-dimensional, multifaceted war. And that is why it's a world war, in my opinion. We don't see it that way. We don't see it as intense as the previous wars. But it's just because the nature of the world has changed. And it's a multi-dimensional war. It has depth. It's kind of a fight for the soul of humanity, in my opinion. So it has that level of depth, and it's polarizing the world. People are taking different stances. I stand with this side against this side. I stand with this against this. So everyone's polarized. Everyone's voicing their opinion, and that's really what's happening in this war, and that's why it's so influential and deep in its impact. It's because it has all these different dimensions, and it's impacting everyone in the world. So, how does this feed into the next chapter, or like where does AI fit into place? The world is going through this galvanization moment of galvanization, and everything's coming out on the table. So there's a lot of disclosure about everything. So we see like the Epstein files are being out. We see files about aliens, coming out from the government. We see speeches are more, clear and honest and transparent. Political leaders talking about religion. Maybe it wasn't, the case in the past. So everyone's becoming honest about their intentions, everything coming out on the table. We live in the age of disclosure. So what can we do about this? And what does this understanding help us do in an age where AI is kind of taking over jobs, and the world is in chaos? The best way that we can compete with AI is do what it cannot do. And what is AI not capable of doing? Original creative thought. No matter how much the companies try to sell you on the idea that, hey, you can create content, you can create video and pictures, and you can see like a lot of a big edge of the sales, or a big angle of the sales of the AI companies is about creativity and creating stuff with AI. The truth is, these tools are not capable of original thought. They are only regurgitating what's already been fed to them from the internet and from training material. So all these tools are doing are just predicting what you want and agreeing with you and reinforcing your own thoughts and what they are already fed from the internet. So between now and probably like 100 years from now, AI is not capable of producing original creative thought. And even if it was, humans will still possess something that AI will never possess, which is the connection with the divine. And this is where we come to define the meaning of God and what are these religions talking about. So every human being is capable of connecting with the divine. Why can I speak to this? Who am I to talk about this? Because for the past 13 years, I've been doing my research and a study of myself and understanding the world. So I've done my 10,000 hours on the topic. And I know that for a fact every human being is capable of connecting with the divine by simply sitting in with themselves, uh, in quietness or certain level of isolation without that becoming a lifestyle choice, and quieting their minds, opening their heart, and then connecting with source, connecting with God. And when we are able to do this, we're also able to answer difficult questions. We need the courage to answer difficult questions about ourselves without trying to run away from them. And that's why many people are afraid to spend time by themselves, because there's always this critical mind, there's self-criticism, these this unhealed trauma coming up. So we always try and escape it and go out into the world. So that takes courage to sit with ourselves, listen to those tough statements or questions, be with them, and then be inquisitive about them as well. Allow this to lead us. Allow the pain to teach us something, to lead us to something. And when you do this for a long enough period, which is what I did, you eventually find a way to connect with the divine in your own way. Never let anyone tell you what to do. And I'm not even talking about meditation. Every person has a way of connecting with the divine. You could be walking in nature. You could do psychedelics. You could have a lying nap. You could just sit for meditation. There's many different ways to do it. The point is every human being has access to this tool, and they are able to connect to the divine, and the divine will speak to you in a language that matters to you, that makes sense to you in terms that you are familiar with. So that is really how we can know that humans will always be superior to AI. And humans will always be the fathers or the people who have created AI. And there's this idea that now we are trying to create God through AI. AI can actually lead us to connect to God by the narrative that I just explained, because now if you see a lot of people losing their purpose, losing connection with their purpose, they have mental health issues, they don't know, they can't make sense of the world. So AI is kind of accelerating the movement towards people starting to ask the big questions. Why on earth are we here on earth? Why are we on earth as humans? What am I doing here as a person? What's my purpose? What's my individual purpose? And I've already kind of touched on how every person can reach to see their purpose, because connection with the divine is the key and the solution to this. And that leads us to the question: what is the divine, and what is God, right? So what if I'm like following the wrong religion, or has my whole life been a lie? If I've been a Christian my whole life, if I've been a Muslim my whole life, does this mean everything I've been told is a lie? A lot of the stuff that you've been told might be a lie. The thing is, the religions are not wrong, and they are not total lies. They're not a scam. They've always been ways for humans to understand the world, to make sense of the world, to make sense of our existence, to make sense of the journey of our soul on this planet and in the cosmos. And then the misinterpretation of humans is what led us to being polarized, because that's our nature. We're always polarized. We always believe that, okay, if I do something and someone else is not doing it, then they are not with me, they are my enemy. If you are not with us, you're against us. This is how our brain works. And that's okay, because that's our nature. But once we start to see that all of the Abrahamic religions and the pseudosciences that came many years before that, like Buddhism or Zen or Kabbalah, all of these frameworks, they are all talking about the same thing, which is the existence of the source, the universe, the God, the cosmos. That is the source. And we as souls, we come to this earth. We come to earth as a school for the soul. We come to experience life as it is, to experience the different themes and different adventures of life. And we always are on this journey to reconnect back with the divine, to reconnect to source. This is the journey that all of these religions and frameworks are talking about. They are talking about our journey on this earth, how we can make sense of it, and how we eventually want to reconnect with Source. And so when you start to see the world from this perspective, it becomes a lot more easier for you to make sense of the world. This is, at least from my experience and journey, I can see it, I can feel it, and and in in my opinion, we are all aliens. We all came from outside the earth, and we came to earth as a school of thought. And there's this theory that we were created by aliens, and earth is like a simulation or a test that we are being observed by aliens to see how we behave and how we evolve. And they visited us many years ago, coming from the future to teach us lessons, to help us correct course so we don't destroy Earth. I am not 100% set on this theory. I'm probably 80% there. But here's the thing, whether it's true or not, I make the choice because we create our own reality. And this is probably the most important message of my video, that whatever story you want to believe, at the end of the day, we create our own reality. So no matter how grim or gloomy or doomy the future looks like, I always remember that I'm capable of creating my own reality. And if I have people around me who believe the same thing, we can create a better future for us. No matter where we came from or who created us, one thing is true and always, and I've tested this so many times in my life, and I'm going to create more stories about examples of this. We always create our own reality, and the more people we believe in something, the more likely it will happen. And that's really, we're seeing this happen in real time in the eschatology, in the self-fulfilling prophecies of societies. Religions talk about the end days, and how there's going to be a massive war that comes, the war of Gog and Magog, for example. And we are headed into that direction. We are headed in an escalation of the war that it becomes so encompassing and it affects everyone. It becomes a massive war between two poles, or maybe more than two poles. And so this is the power of belief. This is the power of, when you get people to believe something collectively, they can manifest it and they can create it. So how about we get together and believe something collectively that is good for all of us, that is preferred, that we prefer to create beautiful cities of awakening, of enlightenment, beautiful cities of light, that we can create societies that look at humanity as a single race, that we live and co-live and coexist together, and we don't believe that there's a human being who is inherently evil and we need to destroy that human being. We need to understand their journey and why they are this way. And that hurt people, and people who operate from trauma can create pain in the world because they are unconsciously operating from their trauma. They don't have the tools to understand their journey and to overcome their pain and process it and heal it. And when we grow empathy to those people, we're able to start to understand different cultures and have more tendency to accept them rather than seek to destroy them. So once we start to see the human race as a unit, as a collective unit, as, all, one is the all is the one, we are all part of the same picture. And to hurt one human being is to hurt everyone. I watched this video yesterday, and it talked about the cities of light, and it talked about, okay, if you hurt one finger of the hand, you're basically hurting the whole hand because now it's incomplete. The same thing applies to humanity. We're all part of the same hand, of the same collective. So if we hurt one human being, it's like we hurt all of them. And that's mentioned in the Quran, and I'm sure there's some version of it mentioned in other Abrahamic religions. So once we start to see the world from that perspective, and this brings me to the future vision, I see humanity going in that direction. I would love for more people to see the world from this lens, to get out of this idea that Muslims hate the Jews, the Christians hate the Muslims, or whatever. We start to look at ourselves as a collective species, create that new world, create those beautiful cities, those beautiful environments for us to cooperate, to collaborate, and also to have a galactic council. As we start to connect with potential extraterrestrial forces, and I do believe they exist. They are out there. There are for sure life forms that we don't fully understand, and we want to be able to connect with those. And so we want to have an embassy for human beings, for Earth, representatives. These are the leaders of Earth who can integrate and communicate with other planets or other species. We need to self-organize. We need to be organized and integrated and structured, and not keep feuding among each other and be in complete disarray, because we're not able to have representation in that way, and we will lead ourselves to total destruction, and we will lose that connection with the universe and any potential connection with ETs. So for us to be able to do this, we need to start living in harmony. We need to start having more empathy for each other, for people that we don't understand their culture, we don't understand their mindset, and that is the way that we can create that reality. So, and I believe that is the next evolution in the human consciousness. Every religion that came has created a level of evolution and a level of a renaissance, if you will. I think the next evolution for us is for humans to transcend all this tribalism and to look at ourselves as a single species, and that's going to create the next evolution in our consciousness and make us an intergalactic race and species. So I will see you out there in the cosmos.